Hi everyone, my name is Pascal Teliano. In today's lecture, we're going to talk about America versus Afro-Eurasia. But first, we're going to talk about the four major river valleys around which all the earlier civilizations were built. Let's go look at the map here. We have the representation of those four rivers. We have first here the Nile. The Nile is located in Africa, Egypt specifically, and then we have here the Tiger in Mesopotamia, which is here, and then third we have the Yellow River, which is located in China, and then fourth we have the Indus River, which is located in North America. So around the world, we have learned how all the earlier domestication of agriculture and animals happens in these three earlier rivers here: the Nile, the Mesopotamia, and the Yellow River in China. Today we're going to talk about America and the indigenous people in America. Christopher Columbus was the first European to discover America, but Native Americans have been living and growing corn in America for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows that humans have been living around the world in smaller community, hunting, gathering, and trapping. Around those four rivers that we just saw. So on a map, the earlier civilization were built around those four rivers, but then at the same time we saw the domestication of wild plants and animals to change their lifestyle, which was hunting, gathering, to agriculture and farming. In America, corn was the ancient wild plant native domesticated first in the southwestern of Mexico. So corn is sacred to indigenous people, just like barley and cereal were important to Europeans, because corn is part of indigenous heritage, just like their language. In a study of earlier corns, indigenous domesticated, those corn were in various color. We discovered that the more colorful those corn were, the more mineral and vitamin it has. Ancient people didn't need to eat that much corn to find the balance in mineral and vitamin compared to how much corn we eat today. So in early 17th century, during the pre-colonial time, natives were through savage. They already knew all the basics moral of sanitation. They used to take off they used to take off their clothes and take a bath. It's true that they didn't knew the soap, but they knew some basic sanitizing and medicinal herbs. They were very healthy before Europeans arrived in America. Their nightmare started when Christopher Columbus and his crew arrived. At the time, Europeans did not like taking a shower, and Europe was already very crowded. They had been in contact with many domestic animals, the waste and crap of the mass population. Therefore, their first contact with native led to variety of infection through airborne physical proximity, handing goods and medicine. This was how indigenous people lost many lives, because Europeans were living with those bacteria and diseases for years now, and their body was able to develop an immune against those viruses. And when they came in America, they brought those disease which indigenous didn't knew, and their immune system couldn't fight against it, and they start losing many lives. Now let's talk about the empire in Mesoamerica. The ancient native of Mesoamerica, the Macaya, was the first indigenous people to settle in Socamusca, now called Mexico state of Chiapas. Then comes the Olmec people. The Olmec people were the first to invent an advanced civilization, agriculture, art, poetic, science, and basic literacy. 1500 years earlier, they were already established. But they declined 500 years before the Common Era. Then 300 years later, the Zapotec population merged approximately 200 miles away in Oaxaca. They began to flourish and establish their own civilization, formed by 3 neighboring societies. Their most famous historical site is Mount Alban. Now let's talk about the biggest empire in America, which is the Aztecs. Aztecs are from the Mesoamerica located in today's Central America. Their capital was Tenochtitlan, founded in 1325 CE in the Valley of Mexico. Aztec civilization can be divided in two time periods: to earlier civilization and the later Aztec era. Many of the state cities that became a part of the empire were founded at the beginning of 12th century. The later Aztec era cities were founded in 1325 CE. The Aztec founded their city after sacrificing the king's daughter. They fled in the Mochi Island. The Aztec built one of the greatest pyramids in America, but they had a lot of challenges to build it. There was no solid base on island to build the foundation. I'm sorry. So they came up with a great idea of engineering that inspired modern engineering in US today. To build the causeway, two lines of wood stack was laid out deep under the water to above water level to support the heavy weight of the causeway which connected the city from north to south. They rounded their city with great engineering building that will earn them the title of the greatest indigenous engineers of America.